Reset the pin spotters to the first ball cycle. As a reminder to our bowling fans that flash photography and the signing of autographs is strictly prohibited during competition. We kindly ask that you silence those cell phones to prevent any distractions to the athletes. This week the field of play is the tiled area at the bottom of the stairs, and that belongs to the athletes and the athletes only. Please do not enter the field of play for any reason. Another reminder is that BowlTV.com is the exclusive live stream home of the PWBA Tour. We ask that you do not live stream from your personal devices. All right, bowling fans, pick out your favorite pro this afternoon. Cheer her on. Ladies, arrows are up. You have a full set of pins. How about a break send off of this squad of the USBC Queens? Good luck, ladies.
righty. The good, great people of Earth. Good evening to you all on a wonderful Friday night as we cap off your work week here on Bowl TV. A squad is now on the lanes. They are bowling on the fresh and have bowled on the fresh now for the second consecutive day. continue our coverage of the USBC Queens. Here from North Rock Lanes in Wichita, Kansas. Emil Williams Jr. here with you. Want to thank our earlier guests. Shalin Zulkifli from Malaysia. And Nicole DePaul Miller, who is bowling. Nicole on, let's see, 25 and 26 is where Nicole begins. Donna Dowd, Haley Richard, and Clara Guerrero on 27 and 28. Mallory Nutting, Johanna Puentes. Tina Williams and Audra Renek. Hey, Judy, Lester's checking in. Lane watching from Canada, Quebec City. Tina currently at minus 98. Everyone, if you were watching earlier today, and many of you have at least checked in and out for a little bit. The lane condition this morning, I should say the way the lane condition was attacked by the players this morning on the fresh, most of, if not the majority, opted to begin the day playing further out, like what Clara is doing. By all intents and purposes, that seemed to kind of favor the B squad a little bit, where the previous day, Byrne was kind of undefined, not sure where to where you're going to set up shop, if you will. A couple players that determine that multiple angles could be played. Today, a little different in regards to playing out seemed to be preferred. B squad really had some very nice scoring, as did the fresh. And we'll get into some of the standings here momentarily. But Giselle Post did shoot 300 during B squad. She actually went up plus 280 for the block. She is plus 310 overall. To lead, Liz Johnson this morning on the fresh went plus 230. Oh, wait. At plus 230 to get to plus 293 overall. That was on the fresh this morning. Poss and also Shannon Sellens continued to bowl well. Sellens at plus 187 during today's block. She's at plus 295. Clara now with 3 in a row, as is Haley Richard. So you get an idea of what I'm referring to just by watching the players in front of you. So Poss at plus 310, Sellens at plus 295, Liz Johnson plus 293. That is 1, 2, 3 at the moment. Nice shot from Mallory. I think at minus 42. She's trying to get some pins here on the fresh. Stephanie Schwartz, plus 12. She's now on a 3-backer. High flush in the late fall of the 9 for Guerrero. But Josh Kubiak is in the building. Josh, a former Wichita State Shocker. So far, people having some success on the fresh, and again, that is not to be unexpected at this point. I think the players now have a really clear picture of what they should do, where they should be playing. Don't forget, live scoring is available at pwba.com/live. 209 for Donna Dowd. Nice start to the day. Guerrero at -22. Going to come right out in game number 1. And flip the page here. Going from negative numbers to plus. Heck of a shot there from Clara, who had made a change earlier this year in her game. Went away from her wrist device that she has worn for many years. In an effort to gain a little length, she loses some rails, but felt that sometimes with the brace, she would deal with a lot of early hook. And that would sometimes cause her to have to move a little left sooner than some of her peers may have to do. This allows her to stay in an area a little longer and a little more length. And so far, so good this season for Clara. This too, right now where you're watching, a place where she's very comfortable playing also. Every week someone generally can get to their A game. I think this week there'll be many players who will be able to get to their A game. And the question is, how will it translate in a 3-game match? Total pins. All right, Haley Richard will come out in the 230s this game. Nicely done for Clara to open up. 249. Lauren Pate in her debut here on the Queens. I should say season debut for Lauren, just graduating. Her official debut as a professional. Pretty nice scores here on the fresh on 27 and 28, and now 29 and 30. Oh, get out of there. So Mallory trying to do the same. Let's see what the old cut number is right now. Oh my, plus 19. I said that the Burn Squad really, they certainly put up a number, but they did a number for everyone else. So that cut number is certainly going up, and it did. It's going to go up even more. I still think if you leave today, no matter what the cut number is, around even, you will have a chance, obviously, depending on what takes place tomorrow. Carry the 5-7 for Mallory. And she is in the 240s one more. We'll be looking at a game of 250 plus. right, Tina finds the right angle, going from right to left, dropping that one at what looked to be 1. 'It's gonna be a very nice game to start for Mallory. Lauren Pate is figuring out something well here on the fresh. .203 to start for Tina Williams. She worked hard to get to .203 this game. I think she's in the right part of the lane, especially where she wants to be. Figuring out what ball, the right ball choice. All right, nice start for Lauren Pate. After one game, Lauren gets to plus 25. Tough break in the 10th for Puentes. She left the 4-9, and she's 171. So some good scores here overall on the fresh from what we've seen so far in through 1. .215 for Audra, and she's now at plus 18. So I would say that most have figured out and feel comfortable on their game plan, how they plan to attack the lanes. The only question is, can they manage the moves properly, and what equipment might they play or throw, excuse me. We are on to game number 2 on your Friday night. Back in the day, we used to watch the old TGIF on a Friday night. The jingle when it's Friday night and the moon is bright. Gonna have some fun, show you how it's done. TGIF. Maybe we'll bring that back for Bowl TV. Because we're on just about every Friday night during the summer. Couple scores that I see just on live scoring before they go away. Anita Arnett shot 244. That was next door. Let's see, what else do we have here? Those players are starting on their new pairs. Didn't see too much on the high end. Could be interesting. Summer Jasmine shot 233. Not as many high scores on the first game as we saw this morning. A couple other notable 5-game blocks for today. We mentioned Giselle Poss at plus 280, Liz Johnson at plus 230. Shannon Sellens at plus 187. Danielle McEwen went plus 147 this morning on the fresh. Sherry Tan gets plus 126. Stephanie Johnson went plus 178. Laura Plazas went plus 144. Leanne Holstenberg went plus 151. New Wave Finn went plus 133. Alessandra Gongora bowled, and I didn't even know she bowled. Plus 155. Must have been one of those days where she just skipped right over our featured pairs here. But not only did she bowled well. And made up some pins from yesterday. She bowled on the fresh and went minus 79 today at plus 155. So she gets back to a nice number at plus 76. Allie Tatro put herself in position. She bowled well this afternoon, this morning. At plus 127. Poplar shot 116. Beauty get Poplar. All right, let's welcome Katie Garcia, Liz Colkin, Shelby Harms, and Shannon Pluhowski, Amanda Fry, Juliana Franco, and Christy Leon. Back in a moment on Bowl TV.
The original? Wow. That was. Hey, I paid for it last game. Stay right there. Okay.
All right, girl.
Messengers for Shannon Pluhowski. Double 9-spare strike for Shannon. We actually get a chance to see how the lefties would like to kind of play this fresh 39-foot condition. 26.9 mils. Pretty flat in the middle. Amanda Fry is on 29 and 30. She made the show last year at the USBC Queens and finished 5th. And really, if not for a couple of untimely 7-10s, could certainly have advanced on in the event. Katie Garcia also on 27 and 28 with Pluhowski. Get to see 3 lefties. Liana Franco, she's made 2 shows in her lifetime here on the PWBA Tour. Franco was on the 2017 Greater Detroit Open.
I make a 3, 6, 9, 10, but I can't make a 7.
When they're all touching,
Wow. Boy, we had to wait for it, but nice little messenger there for Liz Colkin. And the Fry looks to have some command of the right lane. We're on 29 and 30. One game down here, final squad of the day. Tomorrow we will begin with the C squad. They will bowl on the fresh at 8 a.m. Then the A squad will bowl on the burn. This is A squad currently. The B squad will close it down See how many players are looking to chase the number at that point. Of course, trying to remain for those who may have completed their bowling at that time. For those who are around the number, then they might come back into the building to either be elated that they made it, endure some sorrow, or maybe, as we saw last year, be a part of a tie and have to bowl for the final spot. Leong from Daly City. Daly City, California. Amanda Fry from Northern California as well. From Antelope, just outside Sacramento. Franco with some experience in this building, making a show at the Wichita Open in 2017, and then the Greater Detroit Open, which at the time was just 2 weeks later. Shelby Harms clean here through 7. Nice double. Fry. And again, Amanda with a strike on the right lane. Four out of 5 for Amanda on lane 30. Here's Leong looking for a double of her own. Lived in the Bay Area for a little bit. I almost forget the years now. 2014? I think July 2014 I went there, moved there for a little bit. And I went to Daly City a couple times. But I did go there to bowl once. Went there to practice. Yes, we are discussing practice. And I think, what it was, 60 lanes? A pretty nice center. It was a classic. What was the name of it in Daly City? Some trouble for Katie Garcia. A 1, 8, 9, 10. Class 72 lanes. Thank you, Kim. Classic lanes. Still. It's a good way to get some count. Fry with a strike can get to 195 here in game 2. Tish Johnson, a USBC and PWBA Hall of Famer. She's 3 strikes away from shooting 290. Tish made a match play last year at the stadium, National Bowling Stadium in Reno, Nevada. You can watch her compete on 33 and 34. She's been crossing with tour rookie Jasmine Mason. There's going to be a lot of interesting conversations. Jasmine gets to, oh, goodness gracious. 9-pin for Pluhowski. Tish is up currently if you'd like to, again, watch her on 33 and 34. And gets the 7 to fall as patented Tish Johnson fashion. Nice washout attempt and spare from Franco. 1-2-4-10. That spare for righties is, I feel like it's now as common as like a single pin. It's the amount of times that it's left, and really with a pretty high conversion rate, I would say. Of course, there's always that time where the head pin tends to wrap around the 10. Tish Johnson, 279 in game 2 to get to plus 42. Hello, Terry, checking in. Appreciate you tuning in from Spartanburg, South Carolina. Here's Liz Colkin at plus 51. That one's got a hook, and it does. Wow. All right, good shot there from Garcia. Harms, again, 168 here in the ninth. Working on an open. She can get to 198. Puhalski, when she steps up, can get to 216 with 3 in the 10th. Harms pulled that one left. Now Garcia. Five pin up, so Garcia will take this opportunity and get another bowling ball. All right, 205 for Puhalski. .222 for Liz Colkin. 157 for Katie Garcia, and game two officially in the books. What's up, Steve? All is well here in Wichita. A legend in the, another legend in the chat room. I should say USBC Hall of Famer, former Wichita State Shocker, Steve Klumpkin. Coach K. And we are now joined by Mike Devaney.
Hi, Emil. How are you?
Mike D, what's happening?
Long day. Almost done, though. That's what's happening.
So what are we seeing on the lanes here? What's happening?
You know what? It's strange. This squad had trouble yesterday morning on the fresh, keeping their angles tight. And when I say angles tight, they're going to be playing like right up 4, 5, 6. So the scores were not very good yesterday morning for them. And the same thing's happening on this fresh. I don't know if it's stylistically the players don't really like to play that type of an angle that close to the gutter, or I haven't been able to diagnose it, but the scores are definitely going to be lower for this. The squad's got their work cut out for them the rest of the event.
That's interesting. I would have thought that based on what we saw this morning, that this squad would have said, "Hey, I'm going to try to do that," but you just described it.
We did. I mean, we saw it yesterday afternoon when they strip and re-oiled for the evening session. The bowlers committed to playing to the right. Scores were okay. And then this morning, they really committed to playing to the right, and they made the lanes good for themselves and really good for the second session. So, we spoke to all of our players, all of our reps spoke to the players, said, you guys got to play to the right. You've got to commit to doing it for the first game. You may not have a great first game, but you got to commit to doing it. Because once you start moving left, the lanes don't transition very well, and your score still isn't any good. So now that's what we've seen here. That's why there's so many minus and red scores on this particular squad. Anybody who's bowling good right now is still doing the same thing. They're using very tight angles, and they're going right up 4, 5, 6.
What type of bowling balls have been keys to being able to play? Obviously, physical ability is
right.
important, but what shapes and covers? And
symmetrical bowling balls seem to be the go-to for our particular brands because our cover stocks are so strong. So when we use our asymmetrical cores with our stronger cover stocks, the balls get offline a lot quicker. So it seemed to be a little bit easier for us to use the symmetricals. The medium IQ Tours, the Idols, the medium balls, not really, really aggressive off the friction, and stronger layouts. Pins out near their axis, balls that really tumble and get real end over end at the end of the oil pattern, so the ball doesn't make that hockey stick reaction at the end. We want something real smooth, so when the bowler misses a little bit inside, they don't get 6. Trying to get 9. Make a bad shot 9. It makes it a lot easier to make a good shot. When you're making good shots, the tendency to bowl better, increases. And when you feel like you can miss a little bit and still get close to the pocket, the likelihood of you bowling better increases.
The voice you are hearing is Mike Devaney. He represents Storm, and he is out on the PWBA tour full time. Mm-hmm. He's here all year, or I should say all summer.
All season.
All season with us. And he's also one of the greatest people I've talked to. I'm just going to say he keeps it real. Listen, he keeps it real, folks. So if you want to keep it real, that's who you talk to.
Yeah, I don't like to play around people. I don't. I try not to sugarcoat it with my staffers, and I try not to sugarcoat it with my family, and sometimes that rubs people the wrong way, but that's the only way I know how to be.
Sure.
It's just I think it's the best way to be. To deal in black and whites with people is the best way for me.
Who are you watching, or anyone in particular in this?
I've got a bunch of staffers right here. So I've got Azarette, I've got Karen, I've got Alicia, I've got Elise. Almost everybody here is are my people. So that's why I came over and sat down, because it was the only, to be honest with everybody that's not able to see what's going on here, it's the only seat that I could find. My feet hurt. I've been on my feet 3 days straight.
Well, I'm always happy to have you.
Yeah, so I dove right in here and put the headset on. So Alicia just struggled a little bit the last game. She had back-to-back pocket 7-10s in the 8th and 9th, and then she threw 3 in the 10th. She had a 2 or 3 bagger going into the 8th, 7-10, 7-10, then 3 in the 10th. She bowled 181, should have been 220. So making sure that her angles are good, the ball's going through the pins the right way, because she's teetering on that line where she needs a couple good games to get back into the scene to make this cut. If she has one more 180 game, she's going to be in deep trouble.
Are you an early indicator or kind of predictionist on cut numbers?
Well, if you would have asked me this morning before they started, I would have said minus 25. Now, after what happened today, I'm thinking it's like more on the plus 25 zone. It's a pretty good shot there. Just needs to throw it a little harder. See, so that shot that Alicia threw, if if you try to open that angle up, the pattern is so flat that if you try to open the angle up right there, your ball's going to pick up and hook even more, even though you're giving it more, you're throwing it further away from the pocket. So she's actually got to continue to keep that angle tight and up her ball speed. You've got to keep the ball online with a lot of speed. And that presents a problem for many of the ladies in the event because they don't throw the ball that hard. The ones who do bowl pretty well. Giselle Postler has good ball speed. Liz Johnson has good ball speed. You look at the leaderboard, and generally most of them have pretty good ball speed.
What key would you tell someone to tell a player that maybe if they want to increase the ball speed to be successful, just in a shorter, I guess this event's kind of long, but
right
in the sense to where, hey, this might be one of the things you've got to do to give yourself the best chance. What do you tell them?
For my players, you know, I first recognize is stylistic advantages or disadvantages the players have based on the conditions that they're playing under. So I have to explain to them, you know, there's some players that just absolutely refuse to play outside of, like, say, 7-board. Their game is not designed for that. They're not comfortable doing that. I'm not going to force a player to do that and say, hey, you're either going to play outside here or else. It just doesn't work that way. You've got to work with what the player brings to the table. Now, if I'm just going to be coaching, you know, somebody in a private lesson or somebody, you know, away from the tournament environment, for them to increase their ball speed, believe it or not, it's for many years it's the reverse of what's being taught. And when I say that is, a lot of people are taught that they want to increase their approach. They move back on the approach. It's actually you want to move up. And the reason why you want to move up is because you want to get the ball into the swing faster. It naturally, when the ball gets in the swing faster and quicker, your feet speed up. Correct. And you don't naturally think, I'm really far away from the foul line, I run to the line, because when you run to the line, you load up. And when you load up, you pull the ball down from the top of the swing and actually makes your ball hook earlier and makes your ball slow down more. The idea is getting the flat spot of your swing longer, which helps the ball glide down the lane. So when I say that, the viewers at home could think of Tommy Jones. Tommy Jones has an enormously long flat spot in his swing. Tommy likes it when the lane's hooked. He's always liked it when the lane's hooked. I mean, he's great when they're tight, too. Tommy's a great bowler. He's a Hall of Fame bowler. But he's really great when the lane's hooked because he doesn't feel that friction in the front. He's really good at just getting his ball to glide down the lane. If you look at a bowler like myself, very steep. Not a real long flat spot in my swing. Very steep. I hated when the lane's hooked. I wanted them tight as hell because I wanted my ball to that oil to help make my ball push down the lane. So there's two ends of the spectrum. If you look at their swing, if you were to look from the side and see how their swing is very long and flat, like a golf swing, like Tommy Jones, long and flat. Or you look at mine's more like I'm hacking at a tree, like a V. So that's why I have 2 and he has 20. That's the reality of it. But that's how you get the ball down the lane faster and easier. The ball doesn't respond to friction. It pushes down the lane faster, and your ball speed will increase by shortening your approach and increasing the flat spot.
Azarette Zetter, Alicia Current, Karen Marcano on 27 and 28, Martha Lopez, Jordan Richard, Aaron McCarthy, and Madeline McDuff on 29 and 30. Game 3 of 5, A squad, final squad of the day here.
Good shot. Really good shot. She's ignoring me. This is usually what my bowlers do. And then they try to get my attention and I walk off. I ignore them. It's a give and take.
I'm curious, and just from a player perspective, Tommy, you just described that swing. Is there anyone on this tour that is similar or that possesses that?
Let me see. Lindsay Boomershine has a very long flat spot in her swing. So she when the lanes are dry like they are right now, she's still using a dull ball. She's not feeling the friction. She's not. She doesn't feel like it's hard to control her ball in this. But if you look at a bowler like right in front of us, Azarette, she pulls down on it from the top of her swing, very quick and jagged movement. Her ball is going everywhere. Right. She has to make a really, really good shot to get it in the pocket. She's got to be very, very accurate with her speed and accurate with her rev rate and her rotation. Not nearly as forgiving for that particular style with what's on the lanes right now versus somebody with a longer flat spot. Giselle Pass is another one. Very long, really long arms and very long flat spot in her swing. The ball's flying down the lane. Nice, controllable motion on the back end.
Here is Zetter up on 28.
Very sharp. See, so her tendency off that shot would be to move left, right? Because the ball drifted high. Sure. And when she moves left, the way the pattern is shaped, she's moving into that flatness where the ball still won't push down the lane. It'll still go high. She can move, 10 and 5. It's still going to be the same result, 3-6-10. 6-10, 3-6-10. The pattern is just not, it's not worn in enough, it's not transitioned enough for that to be, for a forgiving place to play in a lane.
And with 5 games, we may not get to that point.
You'll get to it. About the 5th game,
Okay.
they'll soften up, but some of these bowlers are so defeated mentally by that point they can't take advantage of what the lane is giving them at that time. It's a test. It's a physical, mental test of fortitude. It really is. You're playing against the best players in the world. The conditions are demanding, and you have to, not internalize so much to where you just beat yourself up to where you can't take advantage of the good players when you hit. You got to take your medicine, take your lumps, do your thinking off the lanes, and when you're up there, you perform. Much easier said than done. That's the biggest thing that I preach to my players. I preach coaching, I preach lane play, attack, balls and layouts and that, but when we're actually playing, it's how they're processing the information. It's how they're allowing themselves to perform, and it's exactly what you have to do at the professional level is allow yourself to perform. Allow all those years and all those times as kids and as young adults they're on the lanes. Allow that to come to fruition. Don't stunt that. Don't retard that. Don't mute that, because that's what comes out here. If you try to overpower it with your mind, like overthink. You see these ones that get there and stand, they approach for 45 seconds. The odds of them making a good shot are not very good. The ones that do all their thinking back here and then step up and perform, those are the ones you got to look out for. You watch Liz Johnson. She does all her thinking. She steps up there, bang. All her thinking, steps up there, bang. She's been the best on this tour for 20 years. It's the ability to process information, not internalize, not blame yourself, not say I stink or I'm not bowling good. You do all that later when you're done. Everybody does that when they're done. You're going to do it if you do it while you're bowling or when you're done, so you may as well just do it when you're done. Let's focus on what we can control out here right now. That's what I try to preach to my players. Some of them respond really well to it. Some of them, it's difficult for them. It is. It's all different personalities, all different likes of life that want to come play this game and be good at it. And it takes a different message. I try to say the message and maybe in different words,
Sure.
but the way our end game, our end goal is the same.
Because everyone will absorb it differently
Correct.
as well.
Right. Some people feel like you're being critical. Some people feel like you're being caring. And I could say the same exact sentence to 2 different players, and one thinks I'm a jerk, and the other one's like, man, that's so nice. So it's just you got to kind of take your lumps and move on, and hope that they understand. And in the long run, I want them to develop as players and be better. Obviously, I want our brands to do well.
Sure.
But I want them to develop as a player and feel like their experience here is not only enriching, but they're actually gaining some knowledge and skills that they can actually take away from bowling, and in life and get a little bit better at whatever they do. This is a small small snapshot of your life. It's not everything, and that's what I try to explain to them. When we walk out of here and go over to Circle K, that guy doesn't care if you're a good bowler or not. He doesn't care if you're Liz Johnson or Bob Johnson or Joe Johnson. He doesn't care. He wants to sell you a pack of gum and a Monster or something. So let's put it in perspective, right? And once they kind of get the grasp of that, it makes it a lot easier for them to perform. It seems odd, but it really does work. It really does work.
Mike Devaney in the booth with me. How long you staying?
I'm here all night. I'm here every squad. I'm here. That one got long on it.
How long you staying for this game?
I'll stay to the end of the game.
Okay.
Yeah, 5 more frames. I don't think I'll get yelled at too bad if I stay here for a game. I was going to be here anyway because Alicia wanted me to come watch her. I can't emphasize spare shooting. Everybody watching, you got to make your spares, guys. I mean, when lanes are hard like this, you got it. I mean, you look around, look at all these scores. These people have 9- everywhere, 9-7-1. That adds up, man. These lanes aren't easy enough to make up missing spares. Make your dang spares. It drives me nuts. It's going to give me gray hair and give me a heart attack working this tour with these spare shooting we have.
One left.
Back on. Okay, sorry about that.
Oh, that sounds good.
Had to actually do some work.
You had to work.
Yeah. So I'll fill you guys in. Alicia heard she's missed on the last 2 frames. She wanted to know what the best adjustment was. She moved left, right? And that's what I said was going to happen on that lane. And she went, it was behind the headpin, left a flat 10. So I told her, I said, you got to move back to the right and up the speed. Adjustment is always, I shouldn't say always, that's not the right word.
Today.
Right now, the adjustments on the fresh are stay to the right as long as you can and up your speed. If your ball wants to pick up your speed. If the ball still picks up, then you shell down, you texture down, a little bit less surface, a little bit smoother ball, but you cannot open your angles up. You can't do that until about the 5th game. You open your angles up and you're 2-8-10, 3-6-10 city.
I don't want to get too far ahead because we obviously have a full day of qualifying left. But just in a small microcosm of what you might foresee in a match play scenario, which is completely different.
Right.
Then there you're talking strategy and different things like that. Do you anticipate what we see now on the fresh being there when match play starts? Okay.
I based on what I've seen for the last 4 rounds or 4 squads, when the final 8 players are playing and you're deciding the show, I don't think you'll have many. You'll probably have 1 player playing left to 10. I'd be willing to wager that. You might have 1 player that's figured out a way to hook it and make this pattern conducive to their style. Other than that, everybody else is going to be playing outside of 10. It's just with the oil pattern is, sometimes we use dual oils. They use fire and ice, and they use they use different oils, all sorts, to create different challenges. This week they're using fire on both passes. Now fire oil doesn't really move down the lane much, so it takes the oil much longer to transition compared to ice. So ice moves down the lane a little bit more. It's a little slicker, and it puddles up in the back end a little bit more. She got away with that one. Than fire oil does. So the transitions, you're going to bowl these 3-game matches. There's only 1 bowler. There's not, instead of being 4.
Right.
Some of these pairs have 3, but you got to do the math, right? So if there's a heads-up match, you got 1 bowler in each lane. You're bowling 3 games each. It's 6 games, and you only get 5 minutes of practice. When these bowlers warm up, they get 10 minutes, and there's 3 or 4 of them. So you're bowling 4 games before you even throw the first ball for score. So now you're already in the end of you're in game 3 of your match before you see that first transition. So, and then they'll move them around. Some will bowl on fresh pairs, and some will bowl on the second burn. So by the time you get to that second burn, you generally might see a couple bowlers playing that 10, 12, 15 on that second session, but not very many. I don't foresee those bowlers remaining in the event that long, trying to play that part of the lane. I just think they're up against it. I do. I don't think they're at the as much as an advantage as a player who wants to throw the ball a little bit harder and be more direct out near the first arrow. I could be wrong. I've been wrong many times before. Don't hold me to it.
That was something to keep an eye on. It's I've been thinking about it, but as you just mentioned, that's a very good point in which you described the differences when you really factor in a practice in 10 minutes and how much
it all matters.
How much it's not damage per se, but on a fresh condition, how much damage practice is doing to the lane. Not physical damage. We're just talking about transition.
Yeah, just how you're mutating the oil pattern. The oil pattern only holds its integrity until the first balls roll on it. So, those at home that look at these graphs and all this information that is available to them, that only holds true until that first ball is rolled on, and then it's always in a state of transition. Every single ball that goes down the lane changes that oil pattern. And if you know what you're doing and you've got experience at it, and you've got a player that can listen to your advice, or you are that player that can understand what's going on, you can mutate an oil pattern and change it and alter it to suit your style. You definitely can, and that happens, ever since the lane has been oiled. And until we get to a point where we have an oilless lane, or whatever way you want to think about it, that is part of the game. Like it or not, that's the environment that I must operate under, for my job. So I've got to figure out a way to get my players to have the best look they can on the lanes.
Great shot there from Current.
That was a good shot.
Marcano with a 3-bagger. I had a question in the chat for you.
Sure.
And it transcends brands here, but just thoughts on the success of Jordan Richard and maybe how she's been able to get there so quick.
Well, she possesses a couple things that you can't teach, right? First of all, on this particular tour, she's got the highest rev rate. You can't teach rev rate, you can't teach ball speed. Those are 2 things that she possesses in spades. So with that, she's already, even entering at a young age and inexperience, she was already entering at a very high level. She's a collegiate player of the year back-to-back. I mean, she had success outside of this environment. And then as the harder you make the lanes, generally, the higher the rev rate and the higher the ball speed, that player has a little bit more advantage. They get a little bit more off hits, they get a little bit more pin action, and they can create a little bit more area. And if you can give players at this level one extra hit every other game, and it's not even every game, it's every other game, they're going to beat you by the end. You bowl 40 games at the end, that extra hit every other game is going to be a couple hundred pins, believe it or not. It doesn't seem like much, but it really adds up after a while. You know, you can look across the men's tour, you can look across this tour, you know, before the reboot back in the day when Leanne first came out and was able to throw the ball away from the pocket, and was like, what is this? You know, and Michelle Feldman, and there was these players that that set the bar higher and higher. That's exactly what Jordan's doing, and I don't anticipate her letting up at all. I see her being a future Hall of Fame player. She's one of the toughest players that as not being one of her brand representatives, her opponent I have to face every week. I have to figure out a way to beat her. She's, you know, probably number one on our list to beat.
That's interesting. That's a good way to look at that. And from you know, again, different brands, and so you're coming in with the clipboard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Checklist.
How do we make this tough for Jordan Richards this week?
Yeah, it's in, you know, the good bowlers, you can't necessarily, you can try to do things, but
is this the only hope to contain him situation?
It is exactly right. It's exactly right. How do we catch her at the right time where she's not going to beat our head in? That's, you know, that's the key of this. You know, you catch her at the right time, you can beat her. You catch her on the fresh, you know, her ball reaction is generally not that good on the fresh, but you catch her late in the event. And, you know, like right now they're starting to get pretty good. I mean, she's started out about 80 over, and she's still at 80 over. So she's kind of parred her way through. And now she's got a 4-bagger, 9 spare. So I expect her to shoot, you know, 230s, 240s these next couple games and be at, you know, 150 over by the end of the night.
Which still then goes back to your original point of, you know, kind of doing what you got to do early. Patience, and then once they get to a point where you can go and get your pins, you attack.
Yeah, you attack them like a rabid dog. And that's what the best have always done. You watch Liz Johnson started the tournament out yesterday, throwing it all over the building.
Man.
It was ugly. It was bad. Missing spares. I mean, you know, she's telling me, I got no feel. I said, look, you got 15 games. I said, you know, just get through this first block and don't kill yourself. You know, just make your spares. Let's get even. We've got 10 more games, you know, the next 2 days. She's even going into the last game yesterday afternoon. Bowls 250.
Yep.
I think it's to 60 over, which put her in like the, you know, top 10. And she's like, I bowled terrible. And I was like, I'm in the top 10. I said, exactly. So there's no reason to panic. You know, there is, even if you're not at that, I get it. She's at that upper echelon.
Her standard certainly
But panicking, she started to panic, and she literally let it go in 2 frames. She didn't carry it around for games or block. That's what separates. You watch these bowlers bowl and go, man, that bowler throws it great. I don't understand why they're not winning tournaments. What don't they have? What are they not doing? It's exactly that. It's a level of patience and acceptance and not internalizing and telling yourself that voice in your head that I stink. She doesn't do that.
What was her keys today? And she went plus 230.
Well, after watching the C squad last night get on them in the fresh, and we said, you guys got to stay to the right because moving left was not good. They actually got okay. They didn't get great like today, but they got okay. And I told her this morning, I said, you didn't play far enough right yesterday. You just didn't play far enough right. You know, she was kind of 5. She was like, she never got to 5. She was like 7, and she got into like 12, and she was into 17. She was all over the place trying to do different things. I said, you just need to commit to playing 4-5, throw it hard, and throw it harder. If it doesn't work, throw it harder. And she's like, okay. And it was, you know, 250, 210, 250, 250, 250. It was like, you know so it's classic Liz Johnson. So, you know, once she gets comfortable, she's incredible. You know, that's just what makes her so great is being comfortable. You know, she's okay in her own skin. She's okay with losing. She doesn't fear losing, which makes her a very dangerous opponent. You know, the fear of losing is paralyzing, and I've suffered from it many times in my professional career making TV shows, because you get on TV and it's like you know you're bowling in a fishbowl, and it's just a very odd environment to perform. And I never really performed well at it. You know, even though I won titles, I never performed as well as I should have in that environment because I allowed my mind and my fear to control me. I never did in qualifying, never did in match play, but boy, man, I got on TV and I bowled bad. And it was bad bowling because I didn't control the environment emotionally. It had nothing to do with the physical bowling. It had to do with what was going internally inside myself. She doesn't do that. I've worked shows with her where she's like, oh, I think I might throw this ball, but other the ball in the bag that I haven't thrown a single shot of practice with yet might work too. I'm going to go with that one. And she bowls 240. I literally didn't throw a ball of practice on the TV pair. I've seen her do it multiple times. I would never do that. There's not a chance on earth I would ever do that. I'd be like, this is the one who brought me. I'm going to the dance. I'm dancing with the one who brought me, And she has got no fear. And if it doesn't work, she's like, oh, all right.
Have you seen her throw? I imagine you've seen her throw a ball that maybe didn't throw all week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, on the show. She's like, this ball was in my trunk. I'm brought it in today. I'm like, Liz, we're bowling on the show. We already bowled 40 games. Yeah, I know, but I think this one might work and win the tournament. She did at the U.S. Open. The last U.S. Open she won. She climbed the ladder. I was like, she threw a ball on that show that was in her trunk all week. She never threw it down the lane. She checked it in for the TV show, won the tournament. I'm like, how do you even do that? It's incredible. Belmont does the same thing. I don't work a whole lot with Jason, but he just, once they commit to something, they're all in. There's no doubt in their mind. And if it doesn't work, they go, oh, that stunk. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going to do something else. Commit 100% to that one. And then that's why they just separate themselves. It's an incredible thing to watch.
So commitment and the desire, certainly.
Voice in the head. Quiet that voice in your head. You are out there bowling on that tour against those players for a reason. It's because you're a good bowler. Believe in yourself. You'd be surprised how many lack that true belief in themselves.
This is sound advice from Mike Devaney of Storm. So, folks, if you are watching and listening, and there's a lot of things that can be taken into and for your own game that you can use when you go out and compete.
Quiet that voice in your head. Let her do all the thinking when you're on the set tee, but when you step up on the lanes, perform.
Nice game, nice finish for Zetter, 238.
Yeah, she's getting herself back close to the cut here.
She made a nice run last year.
Yeah, and she's going to be bowling on the burn, which is going to be that's her A game. So she's in a really good spot right now. She can figure out a way just to bowl a halfway decent game this last game, stay somewhere where she's at, 10 somewhere between even to 20 under to 20 over, that 40 pin gap there. She's going to be in a good position for tomorrow.
Cano shot 191.
See if Alicia can make a good shot and finish this game out here. This is a critical shot. In my career, every time I had a chance for 240 going to the 10th, it seemed like I never threw it. 250, I always threw it. 230, I always threw it. 240, I never threw it. It was incredible. I don't know why. Carry that. There we go. All right, see, she proved me wrong.
What are some of the keys, not just what we're talking about on this pattern, but kind of physically, what makes like Alicia Current in your opinion?
Well, Alicia needs to be aggressive. So, and that is a very common thing with many of the PWBA players. They want to. The ladies have a tendency to internalize versus what the men do. The ladies internalize and they say, I'm not good enough, or I need to be better. I need to throw it better. And it goes right back to what we're talking about. Like you're out here for a reason because you're a good bowler and you throw it good. You don't need to say that garbage to yourself. Get up there, and once they start doing that, your muscles respond. Your muscles are very rudimentary. They're like 3-year-old kids, right? And if anybody's had kids, I got 3 of them. If you have a 3-year-old and you hand it a toy, it'll take that toy and it'll throw it on the ground and it'll walk away. But if you just put the toy out and you walk away, it'll pick up the toy and it'll play with it. That's how your muscles operate. If you tell your muscles to do something, they're like, ain't working for me, Chief. But if you allow them to perform, allow them to do all those hours and those endless games that you spend as a kid and as a teenager in those bowling centers, and just allow them to perform and get your damn head out of the way, it's much easier. It's the easiest thing in the world to say. It's the hardest thing in the world to do when you get out there and perform under the stage. And you got your name up there, and you got the score next to your name. All these people watching, and it's like it's a spotlight on them. Everybody's looking at me and my name in the standings, and it's like this weird thing. Like I say this all the time to my friends. I said, if you play golf and you had the scoreboard above your head on the golf course at all times, nobody play golf. But the score is in your pocket. Right? Or you don't even need to keep score. You can just walk around and have a good day outside and hit the golf ball around and, whatever. If you had a giant scoreboard above your head saying this guy is awful, or this guy is shooting 120, or this guy's shooting this, nobody would play because it's a direct attack on how they feel about themselves. That's what we have in the bowling environment. So I tell my players, score is not irrelevant. Don't even look at your score. Don't look at your score on your sheet. Don't look at the score up there. And do not look at that dang leaderboard. Just leave it alone. That's not going to change. You look at it, it's not going to change anything. All it's going to do is make you perform worse. You're never, because if you're in the lead, you're going to take your foot off the gas pedal. And if you're not in the lead, you're going to press. It's not, your body doesn't respond to those kind of pressures. You've already set the tone. You've already prepared yourself the right way. You just have to allow yourself to perform. That is, the ultimate, thing that professionals or high-level players do. That separates. Allow yourself to perform. All the preparation. Trust in the preparation and get up there, step up on the approach, and perform.
Out of everything you just said, the scariest thing, because I'm about to have a child, was me throwing a toy down on the ground. Telling them to throw the toy down.
Set it down and walk away. Congratulations on the baby.
Thank you.
But yeah, piece of fatherly advice. If you hand them something, they probably won't want to play with it. But if you just put it out and walk away, they'll pick it up. When they feel like it's something their idea, they like it. If they feel like it's your idea, yeah, you don't know what you're doing. I don't know. It's crazy. Kids are nuts, man.
Very nice 246 game for Alicia Curran.
She punched out. It was good.
What are you going to next? What are you watching?
I'm not sure yet. I gotta scan through and see which of my players are teetering and see if I can help push them over the hump and give them a little bit of good advice here the last game. So that's what I'll be doing. I got Jasmine Snell over there. She's teetering. She needs a couple good shots here in an attempt to save this game. Same with Elise. She's just off screen. She's shooting the 10 pin. She made it, so she can still double in the 10th for 190. She's plus 22, so she's like in that zone too. So that's where I'll be working with those two. But I got to go.
My man, I appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the seat.
You're welcome. Anytime.
You bet. I'll be back.
That is Mike Devaney, ladies and gentlemen, from Storm. Appreciate his candor and his upfrontness. Hopefully you enjoyed that conversation. I did. Mike and I talk generally off the air about certain things, but learned a lot about. I think I kind of knew how Mike operates, but he gave you a real kind of upfront sense on how he works with players, and it's different for every player, as he said. Some people absorb things differently, which we all know. Everyone's different, so how you absorb, what's told to you may be different than how the next player will absorb it. And a lot of personalities you kind of got to manage too. But all of the reps, man, they do a great job. We appreciate their candor, and I appreciate them. They're always willing to chat with me, which is fantastic. Tenth frame here on 29 and 30. Not gonna lie though, the kid thing, throwing the toy down. That's all I think about now. For those that may not know, I'm having a child, or my wife's having a child. But I'm part of it, obviously. In August, and so anytime someone mentions anything about a kid or a child or all of that stuff, that is just instantly where my mind goes. Most of it's just kind of fun to think about. As McCarthy gets 3 in a row. First one in the 10th, a good shot. But that's just, I assume, normal. But I'm excited about it. I'm really, really looking forward to it. All right, so while we have a chance, let's take a look at a couple scores after the first two. So we talked about Giselle, Shannon Sellens, and Liz Johnson. Giselle Post, that was, by the way. Josie Barnes had another good day. At plus 223 overall. She's actually here watching Aaron McCarthy. So we'll scroll down the list and to get to some A-squad players. And as Mike mentioned, the scores will be lower this squad, which I did not expect that, certainly. And he mentioned the stylistic portions and maybe people in an area where they may not be completely comfortable. McCarthy, good place for that. She shoots 229. That's going to get her back to plus. Jordan Richard at plus 88. And Jay Rich in a position to just to continue to do Jay Rich things. Angie Ramirez now in our pair. And Angie led A squad at plus 120 yesterday. It's interesting if you look at a lot of the great players in various across sports. There's generally the key of hard work, the dedication, the work ethic. And then I feel that, you know, there's always a few great ones who there's something that you can't teach. They have something that they're just, you know, born with, God-given gifts, talents, and able to do things that, you know, a lot of individuals can't. I tell you though, if I was a young kid, a young athlete right now, and you know we all had someone that we loved watching growing up or looked up to, in whatever sport it was. Imagine how many young ladies are watching Jordan Richard right now and saying that I want to be like Jordan Richard. That is amazing to me. Because Jordan Richard is here and able to display her wonderful abilities on the PWBA tour. And then second, to just the actual physical abilities of Jordan Richard. I think anyone would aspire to be her, but she now inspires a younger generation. When you break it down like that, and kind of tear away the layers, pretty cool stuff. Wilfredo, yeah, that's possible. I will figure out when she bowls next. Figure out the schedule and see if we can make it happen this week or at some point. But yeah, we've got a few more events to go, so I will definitely do that for you at some point. I want to bowl like Jordan too. I just keep looking at my hand and wrist and saying, boy, that just it never really worked out for me. But I always wonder, well, what if I liked someone who used to hook it when I was growing up as a bowler? Because Walter Ray was always my go-to. Always loved watching him. But I feel like if I watched Pete more often, maybe I would have been, oh, well, I want to hook it. I'm sure if I was from St. Louis, then that would be, that'd have been like first thought. All right, game 4 is underway. Game 4 underway, and let's check in now with a brand new guest who graciously offered to keep me company. Kristen Nieder. Kristen, how are you?
I'm good, Emil. How are you?
I'm doing well. I am doing well. How was your day? I watched you bowl a little bit earlier, and but at least the game that I saw you, which was, I believe, actually right on this pair. I think
I
it
hope
was
it wasn't my
27.
second game.
I don't think it was that game.
Okay.
It was later in the block.
Okay, good. I had a great day. I didn't know how it was going to be, but it got better as the day went on. So I saw the lanes a little bit better as the game went on, had better reaction as the day went on. So finished at, I think, 60 over, which after yesterday's block was a little bit encouraging because I had felt like my timing was a little bit off leading up to this tournament. I bowled the Open Championships with some girlfriends just prior to the Queens, and never really felt like I had a good reaction, a good look. I felt like my timing was just a little off, so I wasn't feeling the most confident coming into this tournament, even though I felt like I was preparing myself as best as I could, staying sharp and bowling as much competitive tournaments as I could. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow, though. Nice to be back in Wichita. I have a lot of good friends in Wichita, back from my college days. I mean, I didn't go to Wichita, I went to Ohio State, but a lot of my close friends are from Wichita, so it's been kind of like a mini reunion.
That's good.
Which has been a lot of fun.
I actually shocked someone earlier because I said that you bowled at Ohio State, and then I said Ohio State had a squad.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It was an amazing time of my life, and it's so much fun seeing girls here that you haven't seen since the mid-90s sometimes, and it's just like picking up where we left off.
That's always a sign of a good friendship.
Well, that's what's so cool about this sport is you meet so many people over the years, and even though we compete with each other on the lanes, it's a very tight-knit family.
So what did you bowl outside of, or excuse me, prior to the Open Championships or Women's Championships as well, that you said, okay, this is what I'm bowling. I've got the Queens coming up. I've got Nationals coming up. What else were you bowling to get ready?
Well, this is the biggest week of the year for me. The Open Championships with my girlfriends, even though it is fun. I've had the pleasure of winning twice before, so there's always that bar that we set for ourselves where, we come to win every year. And so we put that type of pressure on ourselves to compete and perform at the highest level. But beyond that, so I'll just kind of go back in time.
Let's go. I'm on the journey with you.
Last Friday night, I bowled the 5-gamer in Joliet, Illinois. It was the beaten path, which was the first time I'd ever bowled on that pattern before. And I didn't come away with a win, but I came away with a check. So that was good. And then I also bowled the Cleveland stop.
Yes, you did.
And I had a wonderful event there, which even though it wasn't anything like this week in terms of conditions, it does keep you sharp and mentally focused. And I had the pleasure of cashing there, and I felt bowling really well. So that gives you confidence even in the games, like when I'm shooting 170 back-to-back like yesterday, knowing that at any time it can come back and, you're not out of it just yet.
You did one other thing, though, in Cleveland. You should tell the people.
Yeah. I had my 4th 300 ever, which was amazing. I know lots of women out here have 300s frequently, throughout their careers, and they bowl so much that that's common for them sometimes, maybe more so than me. But, when you only sub in a league and you bowl tournaments when the family schedule permits, those opportunities are few and far between. So the fact that my parents were there for the first time ever was just icing on the cake. Yeah, so thanks for bringing that up.
You're welcome.
It was really like a wonderful moment for me. So besides the PWBA in Cleveland, I also bowled the Wisconsin Queens. I bowled the Illinois Queens. I bowled a few, like a 12-gamer in Lowell, Indiana. Just some things not too far from home. I also bowled in Vegas, the Men's Open Championships, several weeks ago. I've also had the opportunity to practice on a lot of sport conditions, the past PWBA stops, several opportunities in Tinley Park. Al Hardesty, who's been helping me lately with my game. Also Megan Shapansky.
Yeah.
Is that how you say her name?
Zaprinsky.
Okay, I
Yes.
apologize.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Aaron.
You're thinking of
Zaprinsky.
Aaron.
Megan Zapansky, yes.
Okay,
you
okay.
are correct.
Yep. Aaron and Megan are both from my hometown area, but Megan and I, we've become kind of like practice partners.
Okay.
Where Al will put out some conditions from last year's PWBA stops. And so we've been bowling about 8 to 10 games a day, about maybe 3 or 4 times a week, just to stay sharp. And I can't tell you, what a blessing that is to be able to have a place where you can go and practice and bowl and see transition and have a partner to compare notes with. So just things like that,
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
That's actually amazing when you think about it, because you are simulating as best as you can. If you had one more bowler or two
right.
on a pair of lanes, then you'd really kind of get it to where you might see it. But even still, with just 2 players bowling that many games on what would normally be an 8-game block, at a standard event.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep. And Megan, I think, is reaping the benefits of that too. She had a really good block
She
today.
bowled very well today.
Has had some pretty big games that have kept her in the mix, and wishing her nothing but the best of luck tomorrow, and hoping that she's able to make the cut.
What squad are you bowling?
I bowl C,
Okay.
so I'll be back in the morning at 8 o'clock. So I'm going to have to go home and go to bed soon.
Who are you watching now?
Well, Missy Garby on 27 and 28 is a longtime collegiate buddy of mine.
Okay.
I know Angie Ramirez a little bit. I know she's had a really good tournament so far. Jazzy Tan and I had the opportunity to cross in Cleveland. I know she got off to a slow start, but really nobody from that team can you count out.
Oh. So on the lanes today, you went plus 60 and plus 9 on yesterday. So 69 overall, and right now 43rd. What worked for you, and what has worked for you, I should say, so far? And then, kind of thinking about the game plan ahead of time for tomorrow, maybe what are you looking forward to?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know that I have all the answers yet. You have to bowl what's in front of you, and
Sure.
I can only anticipate what I'm going to see in the morning. If it's anything like what I saw yesterday, what I can tell you that I'm going to have to do a better job of is executing and really getting the ball off my hand in a nice, smooth roll. Yesterday I felt a little tentative. I think I was a little uncertain of my ball motion, ball reaction a lot of the times to start out with, which I wouldn't say I panicked, but I would say that in looking back, I may have tightened up a little bit. The arm swing wasn't so loose. I have the pleasure of crossing with Shannon Sellens this week, who was just crushing it.
That helps.
So she's also a friend of mine. We roomed last year at the Queens. Actually, maybe it was the U.S. Open. No, at the Queens. And she's been really fun to cross with. We've been able to exchange notes at times, and I told her that I would do my best to give her a good lead or give her a good read. And I think I did a pretty good job of that today. She did well enough, but I may have,
I think you might have helped out.
Helped out a little bit. I don't think I hurt her at all. So tomorrow, I probably will give a little bit of a better, perhaps spend a little bit more time in practice trying something out. I don't think I got as far right yesterday as I possibly could have. But then again, I also don't think I tried something maybe a little bit further left. So, you know, it's for me sometimes it's a little bit of a guessing game. You kind of just got to go with what you see in practice. And I don't always have the best practice. I need a little bit more than 10 minutes to warm up, I'll be honest. I'm not getting any younger. So I think a good sleep tonight and some fresh surface on some balls tomorrow, and hopefully some smart choices in practice. Hopefully will get me going in the right direction for game 11. I kind of prefer the longer formats myself, so sometimes 5 isn't enough. You know, you want as many opportunities as you can to knock on the door, but you know, 5 is what it is tomorrow, and hopefully stay clean, make your spares, and stay in the hunt.
I am talking with Kristen Nieder from Homewood, Illinois, which is a south suburb of Chicago. I have seen Kristen many times outside of the PWBA because we live in a very similar area. So, as most of you now know about me, well, I've talked about that. I've brought you up a couple times.
Oh, thank you.
When you're on, I say, well, you know,
Aw.
I've seen Kristen a ton. And
Well,
so
thank you. And hopefully
she can
Shanice
play.
is watching, and if so, hello to Shanice.
She was watching earlier, and I'll double check to see.
Okay.
And I will make sure I tell her that you said hello.
Okay.
So 9th frame here on 27 and 28. From a schedule perspective, any more events, PWBA events, on your schedule potentially for the rest of
Well,
the season?
I can only speak for the U.S. Open at this point.
Okay.
I'm not ruling out other stops, but definitely want to make another attempt at the U.S. Open. I bowled last year and had the opportunity to take my daughter with me, which
I remember
was
that.
a lot of fun. And so after I finished game 24, and I wouldn't say I was on the bubble, but you really never know
Right.
what's going to happen. And I kind of bowled myself out of it with 4 games left to go. But she's like, Mom, we're going to Disney. Okay, so as if Mommy wasn't tired enough, we ended up going to Disney, and wow, that was an adventure. Good thing I didn't make the cut or was not in a roll-off
Would have been
because
tight.
we couldn't even get out of there if we had tried. We stayed till closing, but it was fun, and I'm happy. You know, my daughter is. I have twins who are almost 14, and my daughter really enjoys going bowling and watching Mommy bowl. So, yeah, I was thrilled to be able to do that with her, but I have to admit I was exhausted. And when you're exhausted, normally you're not going to Disney because that's kind of exhausting in itself. But I was a little nervous about that just because, you know, the expenses involved and 2 airfares going down to Orlando, bowling the PTQ. But I was fortunate to make it out of that and understand that the same type of format exists for the U.S. Open in Vegas. And I don't know that she'll be joining me this time or not. She's got some classes over the summer she's planning on taking, but I anticipate bowling. And from what I can understand, there's a good chance that most people bowling will make it into the U.S. Open, which is amazing.
Good shot there from Melissa. First one in the 10th frame. Angie has doubled up, and so she will head to the 10th looking to get to 235.
Yep.
Angie again went plus 120, a little bit under the number today, but certainly not in trouble. I think that's where you want to be, not in trouble at this point.
Yep. It's easy to get into trouble. It's almost like there's times when you feel like you need to make a change, but you also don't want to give up the pocket too much. And then Kayla Crawford, she won the Queens in Illinois this year. Looks like she's got the front 5 on 25. might be out of our view just a little bit, but
one of our loyal viewers, Jennifer Parisi, used to live in Homewood. She just dropped in the chat
Oh.
before moving to the East
what a
Coast.
small world. Well, and I think I might have done my first jinx.
You did.
Kayla went through the nose and left the big four.
Everyone needs to experience that.
Okay, now I feel really bad.
Everyone has to experience it when you put
I'm
the
not
headset
going
on.
to mention anybody on any strings anymore.
Well, I talked to Shaolin earlier, and I mentioned someone's name, and of course they did something similar, and she said, don't say my name tomorrow. I said,
Okay.
don't worry, I won't.
Okay.
I will not call your name tomorrow. So for you, I feel like now, Nate, I
Okay.
shouldn't say your name tomorrow
Okay,
either.
well, you can say my name.
I am. I'm going to say you're from Homewood.
You know, I used to be superstitious until I learned what that meant, and then I realized how crazy that was. Being superstitious means you don't have a lot of faith in yourself. So I thought, well, that doesn't sound good. But Julia Bond is finished, and she had, or she's finished with this game, I should say. She shot 279. So can't jinx her. She's already done with the game.
It's a big move there
Yeah.
for Julie as well at minus, we're now at the minus 20.
Yeah, and what a great week she had in Lincoln last week. I know the tournament she probably wanted to do a little bit better during the PWBA event, but then wow, she really turned it on for the regional and laps the field and grinds it out in a win.
Yeah,
In the regional.
she was disappointed, missing the step ladder of the national event and falling out of that number. Finished 6th, and then, like you said, came in with a new mindset, didn't worry about it too much, and
Yep.
just did what she does.
Yep.
Let's see, what pair does Melissa go to next, so you can already have that information.
Well, I didn't really give Melissa any luck. She didn't really have that great of a game, but you know, you look across the games that these girls have had, and it seems as if everybody kind of has just that one or two low games, and it's all about shaking it off and coming back and executing the next game.
Melissa is going to 21 and 22
Okay.
to help you.
Okay. All right. Wow, what a nice late hit that was for Rebecca. Looks like she's going to need a score correction. Well, Emil, it's really been a pleasure joining the booth with you.
Thank you.
I'm going to head out.
Thanks for your
Probably
offer.
head home and start to prepare for tomorrow. Such a pleasure to tune in to Bowl TV.
Thank you for tuning in, for watching,
Thank
and
you.
Thanks for joining me.
You're welcome.
I hope your sleep is good tonight.
Well, you know, I could use a good night's sleep, but you know, I don't know. I'm certain everybody can say this, but you know, I'm a bowler, but I'm also a big fan. So it really is a lot of fun to tune in each week and watch the girls. And I was one of the members back in the mid-'90s, so to be able to be out here again, even on a limited basis, is a lot of fun, and nice to see some familiar faces, but also a lot of young stars coming out.
I'm glad you're able to relive, you know, those experiences and then create new ones.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Well, I'll tell you what. On that note, I'll leave you with this. I bowled the 1994 U.S. Open in this place. And what I remember so much about it, besides graduating college in such a hurry so I could come out and be on the Ladies Professional Bowlers Tour, but I made the cut that year and had the pleasure of bowling with Wendy McPherson.
How about that?
Yeah. So, of all places, to see her again, just as she was inducted this week, and tell her how much I remembered that one week and how nice she was to a little amateur like me, really says a lot about her as a player. And you know, wow, what an amazing accomplishment for her and amazing career for her.
As they say, life generally always comes full circle.
Yep.
Incredible.
Well, thank you for everything, Emil.
Thank you. That
All
is
right.
Kristen Nieder. You will see her tomorrow.
Okay.
What squad? C squad.
I'm C Squad. I'll bowl at 8 o'clock.
bright and early.
So get your coffee and tune in and cheer us on.
All right, that is Kristen Nieder of Homewood. We will finish the game out here in just 1 second. Back with you in a moment here on Bowl TV.
Thank you.
Tenth frame. That was Kristen Nieder who just joined us. So look for her in the standings, and then if you care to follow her journey tomorrow morning, you can. An opportunity to hear and learn from various individuals, players that you may or may not see all the time. Everyone's just trying to get into the next tournament, if you will. The top 64. Hello, Gene from Hanover Park. Gene, is that the Hanover Park, Illinois? Oh my. Off camera, but Boomershine already left a tough split. That's the 3-7-10, it looks like. Oh no, the 2-7-10. That's interesting. In the 10th frame, no less, for Boomershine at plus 116. Trista Kim shot 184. Rebecca Whiting 212 for Rebecca, who's having a really good week so far. Debbie will get to 245 with a spare. Last time I saw Debbie, she was doing great work at the Senior Queens. Ended up making the stepladder finals there. That was at Gold Coast in March. Plus 117 now for Rebecca. We'll take a look at the scores here in just a second. Liz Colkin, 243. Thanks for that update, Derek. Ileana Lomeli. All right, Illy, I feel that she was much higher in the standings as of yesterday. Her score has taken a bit of a hit. Let's check out her blocks here. Let's see. After one round yesterday, Lomeli was plus 75, and she bowled on the fresh. And now bowling on the fresh again, and not having the same type of success. Right now, after 3 games, Lomeli would be just outside the cut number. That was prior to the last game where she was plus 19. She's given 12 more back to the field and now stands at plus 7. Player from Mexico, first time she's been on our featured pairs. She is joined by Christy Witcher, Colina Henning-Shannon, and young Wichita State shocker Madison Janik. Lindsay Boomershine. Maria Sepulveda. Might be Sepulveda. We'll get some confirmation on that. Summer Jasmine and Shannon Grimm. All right, the guests keep on rolling. A new guest.
Yep.
Amanda Falk, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi.
How are you?
Pretty good.
We had a interesting discussion earlier today about Nicole DePaul Miller asked me how many collegiate bowlers are in the field this week. And I said, well, it depends if we're talking about alums or current bowlers. And then you happen to be right on 29 and 30. And then I said, well, there's one. She went to Central Missouri. I didn't remember what year you graduated, though. What year was that?
2010.
2010. All right. So I'll tell Nicole now that I know exactly what year you graduated in 2010. So let's chat a little bit about your experience so far here at the Queens. The lane condition has been tricky. And what have you seen, and especially from the left side of the lane?
Definitely tighter at the low end of the house. I struggled 2 different games there. And then I feel like there's pairs that you can take advantage of. And I did yesterday and today. I kind of just grinded it out. But I was playing mostly looking at 4. I was more left, I think, than other lefties. But I have a different role.
How would you describe it?
My role?
Mm-hmm.
I might have a little bit more tilt.
Okay. Falk at minus 70, and so what? Just from obviously the expected answer would be, I've got to get everything I can get to try to make the cut. But what do you feel like you need to do? It may be that you haven't done yet or can do better to make sure you can give yourself the best run you can tomorrow.
I had a lot better look on the fresh. I think for me, I struggled out of the gate this afternoon.
Okay.
And then my first block, I actually felt like I could have scored higher. I had a few bad breaks, and if I can just push through that and try to get as close to even as possible.
I assume you're going to bowl the Tucson Open. Okay.
Yes.
All right. just checking.
Yeah, I'm
Just
trying to
checking.
go from here through the U.S. Open,
Okay.
the PTQ.
Okay. Amanda, by the way, is from Tucson.
Yes.
Is that your original birthplace, hometown?
No, my dad was in the military, so
Okay.
I've gone around the world.
Really?
Phoenix, Alaska, Guam, where my brothers were born.
Wow.
England for 4 years, and then he retired in Tucson.
How about that?
Yeah.
I did not know that. That is fantastic information.
Yeah, and I bowled on all those places.
So you have some experience bowling in England.
Yeah, I was in a really cool traveling league there. They did it by house, and then you traveled once a month and bowled other junior bowlers there. And it was really cool getting to do that.
Now this is a weird question, and there's some age difference. You didn't see Verity Crawley, did you?
I don't think
Did
so.
you happen to bowl with and you didn't know it, kind of thing?
I wouldn't think so because I was really young.
Okay.
And I was on the younger side of those traveling
Okay.
groups. So I was in middle school when everybody was in high school on those teams. So she would have been in elementary.
Fair enough. Amanda Falk has joined us for a portion here of game number 5, which is underway. Again, Lindsay Boomershine, Maria Sepulveda, Summer Jasmine, and Shannon Grimm. Then we have Ileana Lomeli, Christy Witcher, Kalina Henning Shannon, and Madison Janik.
There's some people I bowled in college with. Lindsay and Kalina.
Yes, you. So Amanda went to Central Missouri, and then Kalina went to Nebraska, as did Lindsay. Who was did Central Missouri have any rivals, if you will? Who was your biggest rival?
I think it started off with Nebraska, I think. And then, I don't know, I feel like it was lots of people's, but they're good, real good.
That's fair. They're still good.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
It was awesome to see how many were there last week. Was it last week in Nebraska? Yeah.
17
Yeah.
bowled that week.
It was like every time if we were watching on live stream.
Yes, which is very typical, but it was magnified because of where we were.
Right.
It was in Lincoln, and that actually brought out a few additional players to bowl that maybe would not have bowled or bowled some additional stops. And I think it also helped that the Queens was in Wichita, and so it was an easy drive for many to go bowl Lincoln and then drive here to Wichita.
Yeah. We drove.
From Tucson?
Yeah.
Wow. Nice spare.
That was real good.
Shannon Grimm taking care of the 2-4-8-10. I feel that I've seen Shannon before. That's it. She bowls for McKendree.
There you go.
About that. I mentioned Ileana Lomeli. Hadn't seen her on our featured pairs. Here she is. That looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Good shot there for Lomeli in the third. What are we looking forward to, perhaps, for the rest of 20 or the few stops that you are committed to bowling, kind of at the moment, especially the one obviously in your backyard at home.
Yeah, for sure the Tucson one. My excitement was today I got to share this experience with my my students back home.
Really?
One of my friends got on Bowl TV and streamed it on their field trip. And
How about that?
they were bowling on their field trip.
Oh,
and
really?
she had it on a tablet, and there's pictures of them coming and watching. And even when I shot my low game, they were like, "Whoa!" So.
Wow.
Yeah, they were really invested. Like I've streamed it before, like when they were finishing it, like a test or something, and I had it up, and they like picked favorites, and it was pretty neat to see. I was like, next year I might have to make it a stats project.
I think so. I would be interested in that.
Yeah.
I really would. Who did they gravitate to? What favorites did they pick?
Last year, it was Daria because it was when it was the Masters and she shot 280.
Okay.
This year, they really like Erin McCarthy.
Okay.
Maria. Summer was on there.
Okay.
So far, that's who they've seen.
This is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Amanda's a teacher, by the way, folks.
Yes.
What grade?
6th grade math.
6th grade.
Yeah, so they were super invested in asking questions, so we had them watching it today.
When is school complete? When's your
Next week.
year over? Okay.
Yeah, so I'm missing the second to last week and the part of the last week.
Now, how does that work for you? I mean, are you missing much at this point, or did you, how does that work at the end of the year?
Our testing was done like about a month ago, and this quarter I got to do a lot more projects with them. Being from we're kind of like an engineering school. We're science. Okay. It's a STEM school: science, technology, engineering, mathematics. So they started a end of the year project for me that I got to leave with them when I came here.
If anyone has any questions for Amanda, she's a teacher. She bowled collegiately at Central Missouri, and is a really good left-handed bowler. So she may be able to answer some cool questions. The one of the cool things for me is the understanding, which I already knew, but most players do something other than bowl. And they obviously bowl when they can, and
right.
Vacation times and different things like that. We've had various teachers throughout. We've got obviously Erin is a nurse.
Yes.
We've got some accountants. We've got some tax professionals. We've got all kinds of. We got plenty of coaches. Also, how did you get into teaching? Is that something you've always wanted to do? What made you kind of go that route?
Since I was in 3rd grade, I wanted to be a teacher. So it was one of those nice, easy transitions, and college is pretty easy when you have an education degree, and then moved home and got a teaching job and trying to balance both these worlds.
Did you have was there one really cool experience in school in that year that said, hey, this is what makes me want to be a teacher from that point on?
Yeah, my 3rd grade teacher, she was pretty amazing, bringing outside sources and stuff into the classroom, and that kind of inspired me and thought it would be a cool job. And then when I was in college, getting to actually work with students, it was neat to see that. And now that I teach middle school, something I did not think I was going to do, and especially math, watching kids who come in with this fear of it and then leave okay, that might have been rough, but we got it. So
that was me. I should have been in your class. Although elementary school math, I thought I was very good at. High school was a completely different story.
Yeah.
I was not a fan of that.
There's a lot higher math younger now than I even remembered. We do a lot of pre-algebra stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, our kids are doing equations and inequalities, and I'm all okay, let's do it.
Is there something that has thrown you off? As a teacher, you go, you've got to go read up on it before you teaching to make sure that you're good to go on it.
My first couple years when I taught science, there was a few that I was oh yeah, I definitely need to brush up on this, because in science the kids get super curious and they want to know every detail. So math is a lot easier when it comes to the teaching part of it.
And a couple players with the front five. One is Angie Ramirez.
Yeah.
And a light shaker 9-pin in the 6th for Angie. Haley Richard also on the front five on that same pair. That is 33 and 34. If you want to check that out on Bowl TV, you can. All right, Amanda, so you've bowled a few stops kind of over the last few years. And what do you think of kind of makes the PWBA in its current form? You once were a collegiate player. You now watch other collegiate players at this level, at this stage. What do you think makes the PWBA great in regards to the collegiate elements and being and having that experience help them become professionals?
I feel like you're really dedicated in college, and it's really easy to get out there and practice as much as you can. I think that transition goes into there. And then kind of having that support team and working with people and being able to like see those transitions and working through all of that.
Who was instrumental for you as a to get into bowling and then kind of where you ended up at Central Missouri?
Oh, wow. It was when I lived in Alaska. My mom went back to college and needed us kids out of the house on the weekends. And so when you live in Alaska, there's not a lot of indoor events.
Sure.
So bowling, and then stuck with it wherever we moved. And then college, I didn't really look around for anywhere. Bree recommended Central Missouri and sent a tape in, and Ron called, and I said yes.
How long have you known Bree?
From my freshman year, so I think 2001.
Okay. Young Brady Williams is doing his thing on the concourse as Stu is doing the chasing.
There you go.
Amanda Barber asks, what ball weight are you using?
I throw 15.
Okay. That's a common question that we generally get on tour. And I always say, 15 is, I think, the most common. There are a few players I know that use 14. And there were some, and I was supposed to still check on Missy to see if she was still throwing 16 pounds at one point, which she was for sure.
I think she is. Ooh. Okay.
Well, good break there for Lomelli. We've seen a lot of pocket 7-10s.
I had 3 of them today.
Yikes. Come on. I'll ask you a bowling ball question in regards to types of bowling balls that seem to work, if they did work for you, and then maybe something that you said, okay, I don't need this type or this color, asymmetrical, symmetrical. What was working for you?
I started with my Idol, which is symmetrical. When I noticed it was kind of dying, tried to ball up a little bit or find something that was a little bit more asymmetrical going down lane. I've had problems. I think other people have been more successful jumping in, especially on the left. I know Amanda Fry and I talked about how when she jumped in, she did better. But she has more tilt than I do. I tried reading off of Angie because her ball motion, and we have similar ball motions. So, today I bounced around from quite a few things and ended up with a hypercell fuse, and that gave me a nice jump at the end when I could keep behind it.
Is it different? Well, yes, it's different, but is it? Yes. How much do you have to kind of incorporate from the knowledge perspective, kind of stay on top of it when you're bowling on tour as opposed to if you're bowling another event, maybe at home or elsewhere? How different is it when you're bowling on tour?
I feel like it would be quite a bit different knowing who has been on your pair. it kind of compare. We have a Thursday night league that's on a PBA pattern at Golden Pin, where the stop's going to be. And I always notice, like, if I was following a lefty versus when I wasn't, what would be happening to the lanes. Learning the topography of a lane is really important, especially this week. I know I was jumping around from different lanes trying to test a few things out to see if it was going to affect my roll or not.
Chris Schlimmer just dropped a nice nugget of information in regards to ball weight, specifically certainly for Barber. Lindsey Boomershine, he said, is throwing 16 pounds.
Oh, there you go.
City Rahman has the front six
Yeah.
over on 31 and 32 from Malaysia. City struggling a little bit, which is a little bit surprising.
Right.
I don't see them struggle very often. The runs we talked about earlier. Angie has doubled since and make it a three-bagger since the spare in the sixth. So Angie trying to end this block on a very good note. Haley Richard went front six, 9 spare in the seventh. She too has struck in the eighth. Sarah
Some good
Willie.
scores.
Yeah. So this is starting to open up a little bit, and players are taking advantage here in game number 5. Sarah Willie with 4 in a row, former Team USA member and national champion with McKendree. Thought I saw one additional string down to my left that I don't want to miss. First couple questions. Oh, I'm sorry, another question for you. Any advice for Nate's daughter who is looking at colleges or would like to bowl in college in about a year or so? So what would be your advice as a former collegiate bowler? What would you give some advice to a young student athlete, young high school bowler looking to make that jump or take that next step to bowl collegiately?
I think junior gold would be a good one. Just getting out there and bowling on that kind of competition. I know that was always something that I looked forward to each year. Possible camps to get into. I know a lot of coaches do like little summer camps and stuff. Sending tapes out.
Can't go wrong with junior gold.
Right. I know, like, that's the main one where coaches come out for recruitment. And you hear a lot of, like, especially the women who are coaching here, they're like talking about like their schedule and junior gold being on it.
Yeah, that has become almost like a can't miss type event.
Right.
Big shot there for Lomeli. And there are other opportunities, the ITC or ITRC, excuse me.
Right.
The bowling combine held there. There's been a few additional combine type events for players that have been added throughout the country. So, from that standpoint, there are certainly some opportunities. I always say, align the academic, wants. What do you want to major in? Maybe what they may want to do, and then build that off. Did she make that again?
Yeah.
How about that?
That is.
How about that?
That's awesome.
Well, we know who to call when we need a 2-4-8-10 mate.
Sub you in.
Yeah, I think that's good stuff already, Nate. And then some other folks have dropped some information or some recommendations or suggestions. I know for myself, I knew that I wanted to be in radio or TV in some capacity.
Right.
And so that's what I based for the most part. I had a couple of schools in mind, and some things didn't go as planned.
Mm-hmm.
But my number one kind of backup, if you will, was to go to a school in Chicago. Front 8, by the way, for
Yes.
City Ramen on 31 and 32. Was to go to a school in Chicago, Columbia College, where I could major in radio.
Oh, cool.
And I ended up doing that for a year, and then, found a school that I didn't want to bowl for. Ended up transferring to Lindenwood, etc. But when I went to visit, Lindenwood had just built a brand new radio station,
Oh, there you go.
and that solidified it for
It was
me.
like meant to be.
Yep.
Yeah, mine was really strange. I wasn't sure if I wanted to go away to college, which I'm so happy. It was like the best decision I've ever made in my life. I think I did so much growing up, and my bowling game was so much stronger leaving. I bounced around with the idea of going to the U of A or going to even ASU because they had a guys team that I was going to try to go to, because we didn't really have a lot of women's bowling on our side at that time. And the closest NCAA school was Central. So, yeah, I kind of